What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Thursday to you. Chris here, Mayce Collectibles. Today I've got 10 more fighters for you whose cards you should be collecting. Number 1, Israel Adesanya. He's 20-0. He's the current middleweight champ. This one's kind of a no-brainer. Coming in at number 2, Amanda Nunes. Now we got to talk about her for a second. We're talking about the champ. We're talking about the first champ to defend both titles. She's 20-4 in the UFC. And you want to talk about a murderer's row of people that she's beaten? It's unbelievable. Felicia Spencer, Jermaine Durandamy twice, Chris Cyborg, Holly Holm, Valentina Shevchenko twice, Miesha Tate, and Ronda Rousey in 48 seconds around 1 at UFC 200. So her accomplishments already speak for themselves. Her cards are cheap right now. They've kind of always been cheap. She's headed for the UFC Hall of Fame. You got to understand that all of these predictions come assuming that the UFC card market continues to grow and continues to be a thing. Assuming it does, Amanda Nunes is probably one of the best entries in the card market right now. Coming in at number 3, Islam Makhachev. He's 18-1 in the UFC right now. He's getting ready to fight Rafael dos Anjos October 24th. Can't wait to see that fight. Like I said, he's 18-1. The kid, phenomenal wrestling, sambo, trains with Khabib, always has. And if you've watched his stuff, any of the AKA vlogs and all that over the years, you've seen that he's waiting, like he's kind of almost like refused to make his push until Khabib's done. Khabib's his brother, and he wanted to wait until Khabib had his moment and this and that. I think he's 29, or maybe Zabit's 29. He's got time, but he wanted to let Khabib make his finish. This is going to be a big test here in Rafael dos Anjos, although Rafael is cutting down to 155, so we'll see what he looks like. But really look for Islam. His cards already fetch a good price, so I think a lot of people are kind of onto this already. But Islam Makhachev is definitely another one to look out for. Coming in at number 4 is Ronda Rousey. Her popularity has definitely diminished drastically in the UFC world. That doesn't always mean everything. People come and go all the time as far as the popularity hype. So that's not too concerning. But with her being in the Hall of Fame, her being the first female ever signed to the UFC, the first female champ signed in the UFC, and the first female inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame, Ronda Rousey cards I think are a super safe bet as well. Like I said, I understand that some of you who might already be holding her might be a little worried about the prices that you've seen lately, but I really don't think long term, again, assuming the market just continues to grow or at least maintain where it's at, Ronda Rousey is a safe bet. Number 5, my girl Valentina Shevchenko, far and away my favorite female fighter. Her technical abilities and skill are just unparalleled, if you ask me. She's pretty much dominated everybody she's fought. She's 19-3. 2 of those 3 losses came from Amanda Nunes. I mean, losses to Amanda Nunes shouldn't even really count. But and both of those losses were by decision. And she's the only person to really ever give Amanda Nunes a challenge. And Amanda's significantly bigger than her. So, pound for pound, I think Valentina's the better fighter for sure. But that just kind of, I'm not taking away from Amanda. Amanda's the GOAT. So, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is when you can even be compared to her, we're talking about a real banger. She's also the current champ, of course, strawweight division, and definitely a future UFC Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. Number 6, 7, and 8 are just some vets that I feel like deserve to be mentioned. They're no-brainers. I'm not really going to get into them. Anderson Silva, Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture. Anything from those 3 guys, in my opinion, is always going to be a safe bet. Even the people, the majority of UFC fans, not just UFC card fans, but UFC fans who are even new to the sport, already know these guys. These guys are forever going to be marketed by the UFC. They're, some of the pioneers, the early people who, set records and really help bring in the early masses to the UFC and kind of help make it mainstream. These guys will never be forgotten. They're legends, Hall of Famers. They all have incredible fight resumes. So Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Anderson Silva, anything those guys, for sure is going to be a safe bet. Number 9, Brock Lesnar. We might see him again. We might not. He's got some USADA issues to clear up, as Alistair Overeem liked to point out for us a couple weeks ago. But again, when we're talking about these crossover athletes, you got a guy who's in wrestling, super popular. I know the UFC fans today like to jump on, the USADA jokes and this and that, and it's a lot easier to deteriorate a fighter's image in the UFC than it is wrestling, because I'm not saying wrestling isn't a real sport or whatever, but it's certainly not MMA, and so it's taken a little more seriously about cheating and this and that, which is understandable. But let me tell you something, the wrestling world and a lot of the fan world, they don't care about that. They don't care about USADA, and they certainly don't care about it when it comes to cards. So when you got a guy like Brock Lesnar, who, he was the heavyweight champ in the UFC, super popular in wrestling, it's going to be a safe bet. It's kind of like the CM Punk that we talked about before. So I feel comfortable saying that Brock Lesnar cards are worth hanging on to for sure. Not to mention, too, a lot of us, in the late 2000s or whatever, when he came on the scene, that was like something, that was an exciting time, Brock Lesnar fan or not. If you were around then, that was an exciting time. So the guy's made his mark, and he won't ever be forgotten. And at number 10, Daniel Cormier, obviously heavyweight champ, former heavyweight champ, former light heavyweight champ. He was the second double champ in UFC history. The guy is absolutely headed to the Hall of Fame. He's got a big following. People love him. I assume he's going to continue to broadcast. He's heavily involved still in wrestling. So Daniel Cormier, I personally, just to be transparent, heavily collect Daniel Cormier. So I think he's a super safe bet. I got a couple wild cards for you again this time. People that I think are being slept on currently. Number 1, Zabit Magomedsharipov. Now I know his cards do fetch a decent amount, but the guy's 18-1. I think he's a Hall of Famer. His last loss was in like 2013, and that came from a 3rd-round armbar. Now I know people, which kind of makes sense and goes along with this, but a lot of people talk about he has cardio issues or this or that. I agree, we've kind of seen that moving, with Zabit. I don't think you can really deny that, but at the same time, he's 18-1. So, I mean, does he have issues? And, the last couple he's fought, Jeremy Stevens, Calvin Kattar, those guys are monsters, man, especially Calvin Kattar. So, he doesn't get a lot of hype, a lot of marketing or this or that, but I definitely think Zabit is worth collecting. And then finally, Stipe Miocic is my last wild card. And this one is odd because he's the current heavyweight champ, and traditionally, over the years, the 80s and 90s, like boxing and stuff, your heavyweight champ is like your golden boy. So it's odd that his cards don't fetch a lot of money right now. They never really have. But, I mean, he's the heavyweight champ. He's 23 in the UFC. He's lost, to Cormier. The people that he's beaten has been pretty incredible. He did beat Cormier twice. He beat Francis Ngannou. He beat Alistair Overeem, Junior Dos Santos, Andrei Arlovsky, Fabricio Verdum, Mark Hunt. So the guy, the guy's a legend for sure, Hall of Famer. It's just he himself doesn't really market himself. He's not really like a marketable personality, and nobody around him, it seems, even attempts to market him. And maybe that's what he wants. He just wants to be the firefighter and, enjoy what he's accomplished in the UFC. And hey, he's a heavyweight champ. I'm certainly nobody to speak on how he wants to live his life, but with his cards being so cheap and him being such a legend at what he's done, I think that there's no question that his cards are definitely worth picking up. That's going to do it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. That was 10 more fighters whose cards I think you should collect. There's probably 50 more, so maybe we'll make another video like this if you folks continue to enjoy this and give me other ideas perhaps that you want to talk about. Be happy to do so. That's going to do it for today, folks. Tomorrow's Friday. We got one more day before the Holm and Aldana fight this weekend, a free UFC fight night. Really looking forward to that. Hope you all enjoyed yourself today. Until next time, take care.